Hi everybody and welcome to 120. I may go a little bit overboard today because I want to contextualize something that has been keeping my head going. George Floyd hearings and trial and the jury selected and all is underway, and we all do remember that horrific scene of how he lost his life and the famous sentence of "I can't breathe," which was the Kickstarter for Black Lives Matter and a global movement, rightly so, to say this shouldn't ever happen again. But I want to invite you to think about this. Every year in the United States, 1,000 Americans lose their life at the hands of their own police by shooting or whatever at the hands of police. 1,000 people lose their life on average every year. Multiply that by 21 years, that is 21,000 Americans lost their lives since year 2000. Year 2000 is the year that the United States went to a war in Afghanistan and occupied Afghanistan, and afterwards to another bogus war to Iraq. Fast forward 2 decades later, United States has lost 7,000 young men and women in uniform who shouldn't have been perished to begin with for these two bogus wars, abroad in theater wars. 7,000 young men and women in 21 years abroad in two wars, while at home 21,000 Americans have lost their lives at the hand of their own police force. Now, more tragic as well on all of this, in terms of the precious lives lost, are not only to forget about the millions of Afghans and Iraqis that have perished as well, and the tragic dislocation of humanity. The United States has spent $4 trillion on these two wars and growing with very little to show. Every day, families, children, moms, dads, journalists, judges, activists, artists are still dying at the hands of the very fanatics that the United States went into the war and is now negotiating a peace after 21 years. $4 trillion, 21 years late, 7,000 armed forces dead in two wars. 21,000 dead at home at the hands of their own police force. Now, this is where we get lost about not asking the right questions, because had that $4 trillion been spent at home in training the police, in educating the police, in microfinancing, in bridging the gap between societies of the blacks and whites, for that matter, and creating social entrepreneurship in underprivileged communities in Minneapolis, in New Orleans, in Miami, America would have saved 7,000 young men and women rather than losing their precious lives for bogus wars abroad, hadn't squandered $4 trillion with very little to show. Don't forget the carbon footprint of these conflicts, and would have had a better society at home where these tragedies wouldn't take place. 7,000 at the hands of two enemies, as so-called, or wars, and 21,000 at home. And then yet everybody has to come and celebrate $1.9 trillion stimulus package, which is still $100 million short of half of the money spent in these two wars. So when we say, "I can't breathe," sometimes that knee is not just the knee of the police officer. It's the knee of the hypocrisy. It's the knee of virtue signaling. It's the knee of under delivery of what is to be the right of any nation, and over delivery of force at home and abroad for the benefit of few. So do remember that numbers do matter and figures do matter, because George Floyd lost his life in 9 minutes. But in 21 years, there have been 500,000 lives, if not more, only in Afghanistan, 500,000, if not more, in Iraq, 21,000 lives at home in the United States, and these figures continue to grow, and we don't stop to take that knee off of what is supposed to be a proper conversation about where the focus should be, how these resources should be spent, and how the world, for that matter, can heal. In between, do keep well, keep healthy, and do reflect, and do subscribe. See you soon.